around the nation, TYT Nation. Jeff Waldorf here. Welcome to the show. It's was it Thursday? I've lost count. What day is it? It's all mashed into the it's all coming together, right? No, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the show. We got a great Thursday show for you guys today. Very, very interesting stuff that we're going to talk about. Plus fun. But first, yes, first fun, then disaster. So let me give you the breakdown here. We've got Donald Trump Jr. On Fox News getting critiqued by his father. So that's fun and interesting. We also have QAnon. Apparently, QAnon is not getting along with some of the Trump campaign staffers. That is an interesting story. They're not quite sure what to do with them. So that's fun. Then we have Israel spying on President Trump. Why did we not hear about this, and how are they doing so? So a lot of interesting information on that segment right there. Then we've got Republicans complaining about a fact check. Surprise, surprise. And then they got it removed. So I've got the details on that. That is a really interesting story and potentially disastrous. And then we have a Democratic representative crying foul on Republicans in North Carolina. It's a really interesting story. And so we'll give you that. Man, that's a fiery story. And it shows just how far Republicans will go to enact their agenda. So, boy. All right. So before we get into the actual stories, I want to thank first I want to thank you guys for watching. That's obvious. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. If you could, please like and share the stream to give other people an opportunity to watch as well. Also, I want to thank patrons. So patreon.com/TYTNation. I want to give a big shout out to my $5 patrons. That's my level 3 members. So we'll go in order here. Sarge Tech, I want to thank Alexandra Brakanovich, Andrew Harbin, Ann Summers, and ASDF. So I wonder if that's an acronym. No, I know what that is. Okay, but thank you for supporting the show, Independent Progressive Media. You can become a patron by going to patreon.com/TYTNation. Also, I want to thank the channel members as well. Channel members, or if you want to become a channel member, of course, you can hit the join button. And if you guys make comments and stuff, then your comments in the chat will get priority. So I wish there was a way that I could tell Patreon members also in the chat, because then they would also have priority when it comes to reading comments throughout the day, throughout the show when I take breaks. So nonetheless, hopefully that'll be something that they can institute later on. Until then, right now, of course, the channel members will get priority, essentially when it comes to reading comments. Okay, anyway, there's that. All right, I guess we can just jump into it. All right. Boom. So Donald Trump is the Fox News president. That's what I've called him, but I guess among many other things. He is essentially the Fox News president. He devotes hours and hours a day watching Fox News. Now, this is despite him being super angry at the network. I've detailed some of the stories where the Fox News, we're going to have to find another Fox News equivalent. Well, there is none. I mean, Fox News is already kisses your ass 95% of the time. There is no equivalent, especially with the reach of Fox News. And they are, unfortunately, the number one channel in the country on cable. Then again, cable skews fairly old, so that kind of explains things. But nonetheless, he watches lots of Fox News. Now, one of the reasons, aside from the ass kissing, which happens a lot from Fox and Friends, and Janine Pirro, who was actually suspended, so she's actually not on. Lou Dobbs, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, et cetera, et cetera. No, the other reason that he watches, besides those, are actually his kids. Don Jr. and Ivanka often go on Fox News to defend their father. Okay, look, that's what's expected, right? Now, the Atlantic's McKay Coppins reported this. Um, he reports that when his kids go on Fox News to defend him, he happens to critique them, right? He gives criticism or he gives praise on the network. Now, one former White House aide tells Coppins that the president generally gives first daughter Ivanka rave reviews when she goes on Fox. Because of course he does. Now, for me, I hear that and I think he ain't paying attention to what she's saying. Because when you listen to Ivanka actually speak, she basically says nothing, nothing of substance. I keep going back to the video of her trying to hold conversations with foreign leaders and them just being like, okay, yeah, right. Well, okay, go ahead. Sure. All right, sounds good. Yeah, okay, now let's let the adults talk. Again, that's what I keep going back to. But see, with Donald Trump and women, even his own daughter, it all comes down to one thing: how good do you look? Your appearance, not your substance. Because Ivanka has no substance. So now that's one of her kids, right? And again, uh, there are basically two Trump kids that generally go on Fox News. Eric is, I guess, busy running his business, whatever. Eric's one of the dumb ones. And then you have Don Jr. So now this is more about Don Jr., right? Trump is apparently not as thrilled about Donald Trump Jr.'s appearances on Fox News. In fact, the former aide says Trump could be often heard saying things like, "Why did he say that? He doesn't know what he's doing." Wow. Wow. Look, here's the thing. Don Jr., not a smart person, not a very stable genius, a lot like his father, right? So there's a little bit of irony on this, right? Trump himself has been reported to saying about Don Jr., quote, "He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer." Now, when Donald Trump, one of the dumbest people in the country, says, "Oh, my son, he's actually really he's not very smart," it says something, doesn't it? Thought I'd share that with you because it's funny. All right, moving, moving on. I'm pretty sure Q Who was like a TNG episode. I might be wrong though. I, I don't know. Let's go on. Okay. All right. So if you watched a lot of Trump rallies, which I'm sorry if that's the case, one fixture you might see at these rallies is people wearing or holding up signs with the letter Q. So a lot of you might be concerned, or you might question, what's that mean? Who's Q? What's that about? Right? Why do these people keep wearing Q shirts and all that and holding up signs? Well, it actually stands for QAnon. Now, QAnon is a bizarre conspiracy theory uh, that involves Donald Trump, the late John F. Kennedy Jr., and others battling secret pedophile elites in Hollywood, Wall Street, and the Democratic Party. Notice how they ignore the Republican Party with actual pedophiles like Roy Moore. I guess they forgot about him, right? So that's an insane conspiracy theory, especially as it pertains to Donald Trump. They think Trump is allied with Q. Not that Trump is Q, that he's allied with Q and that we don't know who Q is, right? So now it's rather funny to ascribe Trump to this movement, right? Because Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. again, they're in pictures together. He's borrowed the Lolita Express, not as much as Bill Clinton has borrowed the Lolita Express. Let's be honest with you. And so there's some questions there, right? But at the same time, okay, uh, they clearly had a relationship. In fact, I think there's a quote here, and I don't remember where it's from, but I think it was like a neighbor or something like that. Um, Either it was a neighbor or okay. Well, let's forget it since I don't know. Since I can't think of who actually said the quote, I'm just gonna leave it. But all right, conspiracy theories, right? Let's get back to that. Conspiracies by nature do involve a kernel of truth, but tend to go more insane the deeper that you go, right? So now the Trump campaign is quite aware of followers at QAnon at their rallies. However, they're not quite sure what to do about them, especially considering their increased visibility, reports the Daily Beast. So now the president's reelection campaign, according to that report, regards them as a nuisance, but at the same time doesn't want to alienate them. Well, now that's interesting. You would think that they would be all up into embracing Q. Turns out, not so much. One current senior Trump campaign official told the Daily Beast that staffers generally, quote, ignore them, while also refraining from comment to deprive them of media attention and to avoid, and this is my favorite part, quote, pissing off the crazy people. Hey, man, look, that's what the Trump administration thinks of you, QAnon people. Or I'm sorry, well, that's what the campaign thinks of you, right? These are campaign workers saying, I don't want to piss off the crazies. You're the crazies. Okay. Uh, so now, as far as Trump goes, let's be fair. I don't know what he thinks about QAnon. So, all right. Now, look, you may disagree with this statement, guys, but I don't think a lot of Trump campaign workers are stupid people. I don't think they're dumb at all, right? I think they know. They know anyway. They think this stuff is ridiculous. They know the Q doesn't exist. They know that this is some crazy, insane conspiracy theory that will actually get people hurt. By the way, and so that's kind of the tragedy here. They know that this is BS. These are more weird conspiracy theories, and these conspiracy theories, like a lot of right wing conspiracy theories, tend to get people hurt. Right? Let's look at Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook truthers. Right? There were people that were getting stalked by crazy internet people who believe that, oh no, your kid didn't actually die, you're a crisis actor. Complete and utter insanity. And then of course there's Alex Jones people. Same thing, right? Families getting stalked. Um, and the Comet Pizza, right? So that whole Pizzagate thing, which was promoted, right wing media, Alex Jones. So all that stuff, right? They know this is BS, but they know this gets people hurt. But you know what? They don't do anything about it. They said, okay, we just don't want to make the crazy people mad because the crazy people love Donald Trump for some reason. All right. So, but what they do is they know that Trump supporters, a good chunk of them at least, believe in this craziness. And so they want those Trump supporters to vote for them, but don't want to give them airtime, don't want to get them mad. So now the campaign has taken certain steps to kind of reduce their visibility a little bit without completely alienating them. So let me give you some, uh, uh, well, okay. According to some QAnon supporters, sketchy source, right? But they said, look, our Q paraphernalia has been banned from Trump events. We can't wear it anymore. They're taking our Q signs. They're taking our shirts, man. They don't support us anymore. Yeah. Well, the U.S. Secret Service says, well, I mean, and we don't have anything to do with this. We're not trying to suppress your speech or your T-shirts. Now, the campaign also didn't really deny that private security guards may have told believers to turn their T-shirts inside out. Michael Glasner, chief operating officer of the 2020 campaign, 2020 Trump campaign, said this. No non-Trump related political messaging is permitted inside the venue. We do our best to ensure this rule is fully enforced. So that's kind of how they're getting around that, right? It's kind of a coy way of trying to reduce QAnon visibility, while also trying not to piss them off. Well, we only allow Trump related stuff into our rallies. Sorry, you can't wear that. Not, it's just the rules. It's just the rules, man. It's a way of saying we're not really against you, but we're not really with you either. Okay. Uh, and there's a reason, of course, they do that is because QAnon makes them look bad. And it does. But so does everything else the Trump administration does. But apparently, QAnon, the crazy conspiracy theories where they draw the line. Now, of course, the QAnon people, they've sort of caught on. And so they found a way around it by sneaking Q shirts in the rallies by covering them with other shirts, decoy shirts. And then, of course, they remove it during the rally and they show their Q-ness, right? Some supporters have also found other ways of sneaking in their message. For example, Brandon Straka. Brandon Straka is a Trump supporter. Now, he founded the so-called walk away movement, right? Oh, walk away from the Democrats. Okay. I don't know how successful that is, but he said the QAnon slogan when he was doing a warm-up speech at the Trump's rally last month in Cincinnati. That slogan, of course, is where we go one, we go all. Oh, that sounds rather socialist, doesn't it? Collectively using your as a collective, getting together. Just saying. Uh, and despite all of their efforts to tamp down on this, the campaign itself, they obviously cannot prevent President Trump from doing things that are stupid and completely going against that. Example, at a rally in Greenville, North Carolina, Donald Trump recently held up a baby with a Q onesie. The tremendous, beautiful baby. Now that thrilled QAnon supporters because, oh, that's a sign of support from the president. Look, he's advertising Q. No, dude. He's trying to make nice and kissing babies and doing all the political stuff. It has nothing to do with the QAnon stuff. Odds are he had no idea what was on that. And it's probably because he doesn't pay attention. Or, of course, there's the other possible problem is that maybe Trump does actually believe in this stuff, which would be weird because wouldn't he be in the position to know who Q was? Wouldn't Q confide in him? Well, then again, who would want to confide in him? Because he has no self-control whatsoever. I'm just saying. Look, Trump believes in lots of weird conspiracy theories, and he does so because he's easily influenced and he's not very smart. Nonetheless, I wonder at some point this little dichotomy between the campaign and some of their supporters will end up in some sort of break. I wonder if we'll see QAnon start to trash Trump or, more interestingly yet, accuse members of the campaign of being part of the Democratic Hollywood liberal pedo ring. I don't know, man, but that would be both hilarious and awesome to watch. Seeing the Trump campaign and the Trump fan base kind of rip itself apart, fun for all. Okay. I don't know, man. Some crazy times we live in, guys. Crazy times. All right. So now let's go to something that's very serious. Spygate. Not that Spygate, though. Different one. One that actually happened. All right. Now, recently, the U.S. government has concluded that within the last couple of years, Israel has been behind the placement of several surveillance devices that were found near the White House and other several sensitive locations around the nation's capital. Now, this is according to 3 former senior U.S. officials with knowledge of the matter. So, Israel had apparently been planting devices to listen to the president. Now, that's kind of a big deal. Why haven't you heard much about this? Again, we have another country, a sovereign country that is spying on us, who is also supposed to be our ally. You would think that the media would be going crazy about this. Well, I think the reason that we haven't heard it is, number one, because it is Israel, and number two is because there was absolutely no reaction from the White House or President Trump on this issue whatsoever. He looked at the evidence and he went, who cares? So now let me give you more details. This is from a report in Politico. These devices, known as stingrays, have been found all over Washington and were likely, according to one former official, intended to spy on Donald Trump as well as his top aides and closest associates. Now, a little information on how these work, right? So they basically mimic cell towers, right? So you mimic a cell tower and kind of fool your phone into especially if you're not savvy. You know where this is going, right? If you're not a savvy person or just a regular person who doesn't know about this stuff, your phone connects to these towers and you end up getting location and identity information. They can also capture the contents of calls and data usage. So that is an impressive spy tool. So now, the reason that I point out how if you're not a savvy political person, again, us regular Joes, right? I would have no idea that the cell tower that I would connect to could be capturing my data. And normally we shouldn't have to know about that stuff because we're not people that you should be spying on, says the guy who's of course talked about the NSA spying on us all the time. Touche. But okay. But if you're the president of the United States, well then you're an obvious target for spying, which means you should probably know about this. We should probably be aware and actually take some active countermeasures. Well, that brings us to Donald Trump, who, of course, took no countermeasures. It's not, Donald Trump's already terrible at observing security protocols. Now, this is worse. Politico reported back in May of 2018 that the president often used an insufficiently secured cell phone to communicate with friends and confidants. The New York Times subsequently reported in October of 2018 that Chinese spies are often listening to Trump's cell phone calls, prompting the president to slam the story as so incorrect, I do not have time here to correct it. Because, that's an adult response to, hey, you're getting spied on. Secure your cell phone. Fake news. Fake news. I'm not getting spied on. Right, Chinese guys? Oh, yeah. Totally not getting spied on. Idiot. Okay. So, look. All right. I get angry over this because let's go back to 2016. I know. So the last place that we want to go. But, okay, let's go back. Everybody screamed about Hillary Clinton's goddamn server, her private server, and how classified information possibly being compromised. And I talked about it too, by the way. Better damn well be as outraged at Trump for not giving a damn about national security. Again, his cell phone is being listened to, and he doesn't care. And he doesn't take any sort of security measures to prevent other countries from spying on. He is the easiest target in order to get. Look, the White House is so pissed off about leakers, right? And has been from the entire administration. Donald Trump is probably the biggest leaker there. So where's the leaker? Where's the leaker? Look in a goddamn mirror, moron. He's right there. You're the leaker. You're leaking to the Chinese. You're leaking to the Israelis. You're leaking to everybody. He's like a sieve. And again, look, I talked about Hillary's server, right? So I talked about that. I said that she was wrong to have to not follow proper protocol, and that some of her stuff could be classified, and that was one good reason that I did not support her as president, because she was not securing her own stuff. Now we get to Donald Trump, who's a complete wreck. He's a complete and utter national security disaster. Congratulations. That's what we have going on. Again, Trump doesn't care about security. And in fact, when they told him, hey, man, the Israelis are spying on you, he just went, well, whatever. Now, let me give you more information here. Around 2018, officials at the Department of Homeland Security had discovered evidence of the secure surveillance devices around the nation's capital. But at that time, they were not able to attribute the devices to specific entities. So they found these devices and they're like, that's weird. Who are they? Who do they belong to? Who's trying to spy on the president of the United States? Now, officials shared their findings with relevant federal agencies, according to a letter to a top DHS official. Christopher Krebs wrote in May of 2018 to Senator Ron Wyden. Now, he's a Democrat from Oregon. So now, obviously, he was concerned. So they're looking into this, and they're trying to figure out who the hell is spying on the president, or is trying to. Based on detailed forensic analysis, the FBI and other agencies working on the case ended up finding out, and they felt pretty confident about this after their analysis, that it was Israeli agents that had placed the devices. This is according to former officials, several of whom served in top intelligence and national security posts. That analysis, one of the former officials says, it's typically led by the FBI's counterintelligence division and involves examining the devices. The former senior intelligence official told Politico, quote, it was pretty clear that the Israelis were responsible. And there it is, right? But, of course, this is the FBI telling Donald Trump. And so immediately, everything the FBI tells him is, FBI, I don't trust the FBI. I'm not going to listen to them. Well, there you have it. You have a baby who will not listen to our intelligence agencies. Now, I'm not saying the intelligence agencies are perfect. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a level of skepticism to the FBI. At least that's when it comes to progressives, right? It's natural for progressives to, question the FBI. It's natural for us to question intelligence agencies because they have traditionally been used against progressives. The thing is, Donald Trump is not a progressive. Donald Trump and the FBI are both massively right-wing. But the problem is that these FBI agents, they have to look into this and they have to figure out, okay, look, we have to figure out how to secure the country and to make sure that people don't spy on our innermost secrets. Okay, that makes sense. That's their job, right? Okay, so the whole thing of, Trump shouldn't trust the FBI, it's ridiculous, right? The FBI is normally on his side. But no, because of the Mueller report, because they actually did have to look into it, which, by the way, they let him go. That the Mueller report did not have the scope to look into business dealings. All they were looking at is Russian interference, etc. And so, of course, they didn't find anything. Because that's not the most important thing. Okay? And not the thing that was going to take down Donald Trump. And that sucks. But anyway, so he doesn't trust the FBI. He doesn't trust his intelligence agencies when they tell him, dude, these are facts. We don't want you to get spied on by the Israelis. Now, the Israelis themselves, and this is to show how he trusts other countries and not his own. Because the Israelis, how dare you? How dare you? Ridiculous. Of course we wouldn't spy on our good buddy Donald Trump. I mean, him and Bibi, they're like this, man. We would never do such things, but there's more. Now, before I get to that, though, before I get to some very strange coincidences following the devices, right, being placed, let's go to the White House reaction. One senior intelligence official noted that after the FBI and other agencies concluded that the Israelis were most likely responsible for the devices, the Trump administration took no action to punish or even privately scold the Israeli government. One person said, quote, "The reaction was very different than it would have been in the last administration, the Obama administration. With the current administration, there are a different set of calculations in regard to addressing this." That very interesting. You know what that means? Okay, different set of calculations, political calculations. Look, the Trump administration, Donald Trump himself says, "Well, I like the right wing government of Israel. Me and Bibi are great. He'd never spy on me." And not only that, but he wants the support of American right wing Jews and evangelical Christians. So now, evangelicals, of course, only like Israel because Israel is instrumental in bringing back the end times, which ironically kills all the Jews and pretty much everyone else except for a set amount of Christians. So great. Those are the people that Donald Trump has in mind when we're being spied on by another country. Great. Wonderful. Now, the administration officials also said that the previous administration would have at least done some sort of kind reprimand. Like, hey, man, we know you were spying on us. That's kind of uncool. Maybe you should not do that. I denounce you for doing that. And then they'll say, sorry. Oh, that was, oops. We dropped off our spy equipment in the wrong place. Sorry. We meant to put those in Russia or Iran. We missed. Sorry. And that's how it would go. Okay. But one former official said, quote, "I'm not aware of any accountability at all." Because, of course, there's no accountability. So now some of you might think, oh, look, the Israeli government, they're right. We don't believe our own intelligence agencies. We don't believe the FBI. They never spy on us. It's ridiculous. They're our ally. You guys just hate Israel. Wrong. But there is a little bit of evidence here. And it's based on the fact that Israelis seem to know a lot about our private deliberations on policy, which is kind of hard to find out if you're not spying on us. Quote, according to a former official, there were suspicions that they were listening in. And this is based on his Israeli counterparts flaunting a level of detailed knowledge that was, quote, hard to explain otherwise. Sometimes it was sort of a knowledge of our thinking. Occasionally, there were some turns of phrase, like language, that as far as we knew, had only appeared in drafts of speeches and never been actually used publicly. And then some Israeli official would repeat it back to us and say, quote, "This would be really problematic if you were to say X," said the former official. They're totally doing it. They're spying on us. They spied on us, of course. All right. Now, the turns of phrase, very interesting, right? So that's what they kind of key into. For example, back when the Obama administration was trying to jumpstart negotiations with the Palestinians, the Israelis were eager to get an advanced knowledge of the language being debated that would describe the terms of reference in these talks. They would have had an interest in what language Obama or Kerry or someone else was going to use, and might indeed try to find a way to lobby for language they liked against language that they didn't like, and so having knowledge of that could be advantageous for them. So, okay, that's a pretty good example. So now that they've been caught spying, what happens? Nothing, apparently. Look, let's be honest. I'm not naive to the fact that countries spy on each other all the time. It's true. It's true. Should we do that? No. Should they do that? Of course not. And look, let's be fair. We probably spy on Israel. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's right. Now, the big issue here is, now that we know, the Trump administration, like we have 100% proof of it, And we know these specific devices were put there by Israeli intelligence in order to try and increase their leverage or whatever, and basically allow them to get the upper hand when it comes to dealing with Donald Trump. Now that we know that, what are we going to do about it? Nothing. Because Trump doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't care about this. He doesn't care about national security. What he cares about is politics. What he cares about is, well, I got to be nice to the Israelis so that Israeli, right wing Jews and evangelicals will continue to vote for me in large numbers. That's what it comes down to. If he denounced Israel for doing something wrong, they would explode. How dare you? How dare you speak against the wonderful kingdom of Israel? Which, by the way, Donald Trump himself has said, I'm the king of Israel. I mean, come on. There are people out there that believe that Israel can do no wrong. I don't agree with that. I think they can do plenty of things wrong. Um, let's talk about the Palestinian occupation. That's kind of wrong. Building settlements that are illegal and continuing to inflame the tensions of conflict in that area. Wrong. But there are people out there that say, no, you can do no wrong. And of course, there's that other faction that thinks, I don't care what they do, as long as all the Jews go back to Israel and we get Jesus that comes back and kills everyone. Those are the people, and I don't know whether Trump believes either of those things, but he sure does count on them for his allies. You can't very well go and denounce the Israeli government if you carry the mantle of King of Israel. And that's the problem. He's putting himself above the national security of this country for political gain and allowing another country to spy in on us, allowing it. That's our president, man. Disaster. All right. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back. We got more stories. We have Facebook fact check, and then we have some trouble in North Carolina. So we'll come back with those stories. Stay right here. Please like and share the stream. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Around the nation. Welcome back to the show. Around the Nation, TYT Nation, Jeff Waldorf here. Got a couple of comments that I want to read. One member, Actus Magus, says they're probably just more interested in who's talking to Trump and what they're telling him rather than the other way around so that they can undermine anyone bad mouthing the Israeli government. That is a possibility. Who knows their motivations, right? The point is, they shouldn't be doing it. Okay. And I think we all agree on that. Valerie Valois says, if they wanted government secrets, shouldn't they just ask Trump? He's so stupid, he'd give them the info while bragging. I wouldn't be surprised if that's also the case. And Rand56 says, what do you think of Hamas? Do not like them. Terrible leadership. Like, okay, you're going to sit there and launch rockets. Why? I mean, look, maybe it's because we don't have anything else that we can do. I mean, they went to the UN and asked, hey, can we try to get statehood the same way that the country of Israel got their own statehood, right? Can we do that? And the United States, along with others, helped shut them down. So, but nonetheless, I don't think violence is ever the answer. And so it ends up bringing worse upon the Palestinian people that they already have. Honestly, this is a very difficult, it's like a very difficult situation for the people that are living there. All I want is the safety and security of both the Palestinian people and the Israeli people. I know it's like a weird thing, right? That I actually want everybody to not have a conflict and be safe and have their own land and not be prisoners in their own country. And not be faced with violence. And Hamas, of course, goes about it the completely wrong way. They're the really terrible leadership. They say the most ridiculous things. Oh, Israel must cease to exist, blah, blah, blah. No, you're not going to make that happen. Shut up, and try to do something in a peaceful way. And here in America, we need to allow that peace process to happen and to stop getting involved and to stop getting involved in trying to prevent them from actually getting a peaceful solution. We're supposed to be trying to get a peaceful solution, but unfortunately, what we're doing is the opposite. And so, again, incredibly difficult and nuanced situation. And right now, there just seems to be no winners. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Go to Facebook. All right. You know what? The Facebook story after this.
I will not yield.
Touch her. We're not going to let anybody touch her.
I will not yield, Mr. Speaker.
So that was Representative Deb Butler of North Carolina going off against Republicans. So now, interesting thing that's happening in North Carolina right now, essentially happened yesterday. Republicans decided that they would want to steal democracy. The state House Republican majority on Wednesday had called a surprise vote to override the Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's budget veto while he and House Democrats were not there. They were attending a 9/11 memorial vote. Now, prior to Wednesday's vote, House Republicans had told their Democratic colleagues that no votes would be held during the 9/11 morning ceremony, and then when the Democrats were gone, they held a vote anyway. And of course, they won that vote. Shocker, right? They won. They overrode the budget veto by 55-9, surpassing the 3/4 majority required. So you're supposed to have a big majority in order to override a veto, and they were able to do so because they tricked the Democrats into leaving. Oh no, we totally promised not to screw you over. Go ahead and go to your 9/11 thing. we're just going to all suspiciously be here and end up voting for this this measure. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Oh, really? Never trust a Republican. Now, State Senator Jeff Jackson, part of this response was Jeff Jackson, who tweeted this: plainly unethical behavior by Republicans today. There have to be consequences for this kind of behavior. Just another lesson in why they must lose their majority. And of course, you guys have probably all seen this video that's been going viral.
I will not yield.
Touch her. We're not gonna let.
You've been seeing, all right, technical malfunction. So you guys have probably been seeing this video of Deb Butler just going off on the speaker. So I want to show that full in context.
You shall not do this to democracy in North Carolina, Mr. Speaker. How dare you do this, Mr. Speaker?
We're not gonna let anybody.
I will not yield.
Touch her. We're not gonna let anybody touch her.
I will not yield, Mr. Speaker. You shall not usurp the process, Mr. Speaker. How dare you subject this body to trickery, deceptive practices, hijacking the process? We have been here day and night for months defending what we believe, and you would submit this body to trickery, deception, deceit? It is so typical of the way you conduct yourself. How dare you, Mr. Speaker?
This is not leadership.
If this is the way you believe democracy works, shame on you. This is not appropriate, and you know it. The people of North Carolina, you will answer to the people of North Carolina.
All right. So, look, I feel her anger, right? Every time the Republicans pull a trick like this, and this isn't the only time, they've pulled plenty, but apparently they're a lot more cutthroat in North Carolina. But they've done so in a lot of different state houses, and especially at the national level, they have done deceit and trickery to push their agenda. This is what they do. They do not play by the rules. Now, again, North Carolina seems to be a standout in how much they really, really don't care about democracy. So now let me give you some information about what happened. Now, the guy who called the motion was Representative Jason Sain. He said, when he called this motion, after it was promised, and it was even in writing, right, that, oh, no, there's no vote that's going to happen today. Everything's going to be fine. Go do your 9/11 thing, then we'll come back, right? Well, he said no. Quote, as a former firefighter and an American, I'm appalled that anyone in our country would stop going about their normal business on this day, 9/11. When we stop being a beacon of freedom, hope, and democracy, then the terrorists win. Can you believe that statement? That's from the guy who literally just usurped democracy and said, oh, look, my political opponents are gone. Now I'm going to go ram through this piece of legislation, or actually we're going to overturn this budget that ironically helps constituents. We're going to do it, and we're going to cheat. That's it. Real funny how he talks about democracy. Look, there's no level playing field here. And this is what I want to tell Democrats, especially at the national level. Because I talk a lot about national politics, but this happens in local politics as well. So it applies, right? Stop trying to get bad faith actors to work with you. They're not going to do that. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about norms. And they're not committed to the political process. They're just not. Again, all you have to do is look not just at this guy or the speaker here, but also look at Mitch McConnell, who's a great example. Mitch McConnell, during the last year of President Obama's term, held up Merrick Garland, refused to give him a vote. This time, he says, well, last year of President Trump's term, of course we're going to have a vote for a Supreme Court nominee. Of course we're going to. But Democrats keep playing patty cakes, man. They keep playing patty cakes. And the Republicans have shown that all they care about is power, and they will do anything that they can to get it. And they will do anything they can to enact their agenda. Why would you play patty cakes? They're out there, saying, how dare you? How dare you, sir? While Republicans are sharpening their shivs they're getting ready to ship you in the back. That's what they do. How many times? How many times at the state and national level do you have Republicans play these dirty tricks? I remember when they did it in Michigan, when they decided to just have completely unaccountable voice votes that left out the Democrats. They completely ignored the Democrats, by the way, fudged the numbers in order to pass their legislation. They do it all the time. Yet Democrats seem to always cower down. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why they're so weak. I mean, you know, by the way, who the Democrats, who the DNC ran in North Carolina? There was just a special election. They ran Dan McCready. You know who Dan McCready is? He's a centrist milquetoast milquetoast Democrat, Republican light. He refuses to fight for the people, and an actual Republican actually won. Shocker. This is why we lose. Republicans lie, cheat, and steal, while the Democrats refuse to fight. I mean, on the national level, we have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Those are our supposed champions. Pelosi and Schumer. Donald Trump is a literal criminal who's running the White House. He's also in mental decline. And she doesn't want to impeach. No, you know what she wants to do? Write a very strongly worded letter to Donald Trump. That'll get him. No, you'll crumble it up and throw it away. Crazy Nancy. No. We need strong Democrats, okay? We need strong Democrats that are going to fight back and not sit there and preach civility while Republicans like Mitch McConnell shiv them in the back. Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, Jason Statham, they're all the same. They're all the same. They don't care about democracy. More than ever, we need fighters at the state and local level, as well as the national level, to fight back. Because I'm sick of seeing Republicans all the time get away with trying to murder democracy. We've got to fight back. And we do so by electing strong progressives. All right. Republican senators complained. So now this is has to do with abortion and an abortion activist's video. So now Republican senators Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Kevin Cramer, and Mike Braun had recently sent a strongly worded letter to Facebook accusing the company of bias against conservatives, of course. Now, at issue were two videos published by an anti-abortion group called Live Action and its founder, Lila Rose. Now, they were rated as being inaccurate, according to an independent fact-checking group. The fact check was conducted by 3 doctors working with health feedback, and it was published on August 30th. And a link appeared next to the videos on Facebook, notifying viewers that it contained inaccurate information. So now Live Action, again, is a pro-life group, and it's got about, 2,000 followers. They were notified that the page had been characterized as false news. Now, when you knowingly do disinformation, then yes, you should be rated false news. But, Jeff, how do you know? How do you know it's false news? Because I believe in science. So now, the major claim here what the doctors were saying, as they were pushing back in the claim by Ms. Rose, or Mrs. Rose, I'm not sure, it doesn't really matter, that she says, well, abortion is not necessary to save the life of the mother in any circumstance. Well, now wait a minute. That's not true. You have situations where they have preeclampsia, HELLP syndrome, and placenta previa. Those are 3 conditions that threaten the life of the mother that end up leading to an abortion. These conditions make abortion medically necessary in order to save the life of the mother. It's super unfortunate and an incredibly sad situation that sometimes women who, by the way, do want their children have a situation where they can't, where they're unable to, and these emergency surgeries end up having to save their lives. Now, Lila Rose, she said, well, no, no, this is just being used as contraception. It's abortion on demand. Why don't you just deliver the baby earlier? Well, sometimes that's not feasible. It's only possible to deliver the baby early in these situations, which, by the way, kind of negates the fact that these are emergencies and they come up just randomly after symptoms already show that even if you could catch that beforehand, you would have to have a fetus that is developed enough to survive outside the womb, typically around 24 weeks. So that's not how science works. You just can't do that, right? Any earlier, the fetus will not survive. And that's incredibly sad and unfortunate, right? So now, if you're actually pro-life, you might want to take that into account. By all means, save the fetus if you can. But if you can in those conditions, which is incredibly difficult when it comes to current medical technology, maybe she'll be right in a good 10 years if we have significant advances in medical technology and saving lives, which would be, by the way, a wonderful thing. But understand, that is not possible right now. And there are women that die in these circumstances. For example, a woman named Sativa Halapanavar, she had died in Ireland because they denied her an abortion. So, sorry, Lila, you're just incorrect. And so now what do Republicans do when they're not right? Well, they attack the messenger, right? They scream bias. In this case, they scream bias at Facebook. Live Action and the Republican senators argued that the fact check could not be fair because two of the people involved had ties to pro-choice organizations. Got you. Putting out propaganda, like what doctors always do. Dr. Daniel Grossman is an obstetrics and gynecology professor at the University of California, San Francisco. But he's also on the board of Narrow Pro-Choice America Foundation. That means he's an abortionist. That's literally what they call him. And that's, in fact, what Lila calls him, as well as Dr. Robin Schickler. She is a fellow with Physicians for Reproductive Health, a group that works to improve access to comprehensive reproductive health care. Now, being comprehensive, they include both contraception and abortion services, especially to, in their words, meet the healthcare needs of some economically disadvantaged patients. So do they have a perspective? I think it's fairly obvious that they do. But they're also doctors. And thanks to Roe v. Wade, women are allowed to make the choice whether or not they have an abortion. They don't have these doctors going around and saying, you must have an abortion. You must abort that baby. No, that's not what happens. In fact, the opposite seems to happen in Republican areas, in Republican counties, Republican states, where they're trying to force people to have children that they may not want, or in situations where the health of the mother, the life of the mother is in danger, to have the baby anyway, which could kill both of them. How pro-life of you. So these doctors, they do have facts, and they believe in facts, while these senators and this group doesn't. Anti-abortion activists have been shown lying about a lot of things, like the whole baby parts video, right? Or abortion making you sterile. This is what these crisis pregnancy centers will sell to people. They'll literally dress people up to look like doctors, but they are not doctors. They are activists in disguise and actually have no medical training. But they'll tell you, oh, you have an abortion, it'll give you cancer. It'll make you sterile. It'll do all sorts of terrible things to you. Except it doesn't. It just doesn't. There's no factual medical information to back any of that up. But here's the thing. Look, if you want to actually be pro-life, right? Really be pro-life, and also reduce the numbers of abortions, then look, you should actually be in favor of family planning. See, their movement, the pro-life movement, would have much better results if instead of lying and scaring people and using appeals to emotion in order to get people away from abortion, you help make the United States a better place to raise a child. I mean, that's obvious step number one. And look, even if they don't want that child or not equipped to raise that child, then maybe you should improve the foster system. Maybe you should allow adoption for LGBT couples who want children and can have them on their own. Maybe you should also ensure good education and health care, help for struggling parents, a change in the economy to make sure that nobody's left behind, guaranteed birth control, health care, family planning measures. All that stuff would actually go to help reduce the levels of abortion. That's the way to do it. Believe it or not, abortion is not used as birth control. It is not done lightly. I've heard it as being described as one of the most difficult decisions that you could make. And ultimately, there are a lot of women who faced that decision and thought, I don't regret it. And while there are probably some cases out there where they do, generally it's, hey, I don't regret it because I was able to actually plan my family to when I wanted to have that family instead of having it forced upon me. But see, here's the thing. These activists and these senators, all men, by the way, interesting, they're not actually pro-life. What it is it's about controlling women's bodies. And so they can't defend that position, obviously. And so what they do is they obfuscate, they lie, they attack the doctors, and they attack Facebook and claim that they have a bias against conservatives. Which, by the way, Facebook said, okay, we're going to take the fact check down. Okay, we're going to have it go through our fact checking process, whatever. We're going to have an independent review. We're going to do all this stuff, right? Just to make conservatives who cry on Facebook happy. Ridiculous. No, the only bias here is a bias against facts. It's a bias against science. It's a bias against freedom for women to have control over their own bodies. That's the real bias here. Okay. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. I noticed a lot of people watching, but not a lot of likes, so get on it, guys. Smash that like button. All right. Thank you. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. We'll see you guys later. You have a good night.